Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today. It is Apex here with another market sector analysis. So today, the broader sector did see a nice bounce day for the bulls. Started off with a gap up open, and I was pleased to see that the bulls had strong continuation into the latter half of the day. Zooming in on the 15-minute chart of SPY, we see a brief little dump, maintaining the 15-minute uptrend. Bulls bought that dip and saw a strong close, which is always great to see. Looking at the daily chart, the pivot high that the bulls need to break is still that 381.49, and the pivot low that they need to defend is 364.82. Friday's low is telling. We do see follow through above Friday's high today with a strong candle. However, we have not changed the hourly trend yet. We are still in an hourly downtrend with a dump, lower high, looking for a higher low compared to this pivot level here, and a break above the lower high wherever it is set. Once we see that, that'll be my confirmation that the hourly trend change has changed into the bull's favor, and the daily bounce is in motion. Dollar still in this weekly falling wedge here. Very beautifully drawn out. Once we break out of this, or if we break down, that'll be a very telling indication of longer term sentiment. But zooming in closer to recent price action, we see that the dollar is in a clear daily uptrend, making higher highs and higher lows. Right now, the dollar bulls want to break that 90.9 level and defend the two levels of 89.92 and 89.20. So these are the levels in play for the dollar bulls. We can see that the assets are once again inversely correlated with the dollar. SPY had a bounce day, dollar had a pullback day. So back to familiar territory. QQQ. So already have the lines drawn out. Pivot high that the bulls need to break is at 319.39 level, and the pivot low they need to defend is at 305.18 level. Looking in on the hourly chart, so the similar idea to SPY, we have not changed the hourly trend. So although we did close above Friday's high today, we still want to see that hourly trend change just for confirmation that the daily bounce is set. So we see a low, lower high, lower low, strong bounce. So I would anticipate a higher low compared to this pivot level here and a break of the short-term top, wherever that ends up being. But nonetheless, very strong day for QQQ. And these are the two levels that the bulls and bears are fighting over. IWM. So the pivot high that the bulls need to break is at 215 psychological, finished with a nice strong day today. Pivot low that they need to defend is at 204.66. Zooming in on the hourly chart, we can see yet again, it is arguable that IWM has set that daily trend change, that hourly trend change, I should say. So we get the bounce, higher low, and higher high. And we have broken Friday's high. So there is an argument to be made that we could call Friday's low of 208.26 the interim pivot low. But the more confirmation, the better. If we see a little bit more of a pullback as opposed to this little sell-off at the end of Friday's session, and then a strong follow-through from there, I would like to see that. Technically, we can count this as the hourly trend change. So just have to wait and see. We do have this, we could call it just a pocket of support here if the bulls decide to pull back. But all in all, IWM still showing off its strength. SMH coming out of the gates very strong today. We can call this triple bottom here right around 232.54 as their short-term pivot low. Call it 232.50 psychological as their short-term pivot low. New pivot high that the bulls need to break is today's high of 243. So 245 and 250 on deck for the bulls psychologically. And they are overextended after we got this pennant break in late December, early January, are due for a little bit of a pullback. So these support levels aren't the most decisive, in my opinion. But if we do pull back, there's a high probability that we find a support right around this breakout zone here, bounce off that, maybe set up in another equilibrium, and then carry out on this uptrend. But a lot of strength in SMH. See that SMH and QQQ are once again neck and neck correlated. Two strong days last week. SMH had a strong day and QQQ pulled back, which was notable to me as typically they are correlated very similarly. So it's good to see these two sectors moving in unison yet again. Tan, big gap up open, and bulls bought the follow through, bought the strength, I should say. Main pivot low that the bulls need to defend is 97.64, and the main pivot high that they need to break is at 123.66 level. So similar to many of the other sectors, we have not changed the hourly trend, so I can't call this bounce that we're seeing on the daily chart an official bounce because we have not changed the hourly trend. This one's a little bit easier to look at on the extended hours chart. We see this big dump, nice move up. All we're looking for is an hourly higher low compared to this pivot and a break at the interim lower high to confirm that hourly trend change, thus confirming the daily bounce. Now we formed a nice inside bar. Actually, that's on the extended hours. So I guess technically we haven't formed an inside bar on the regular trading hours daily chart, but it will be good to see a follow through above today's high at 114.01 tomorrow, which would give more indication that Friday's low of 106.88 is our new short-term pivot low. If that is the case, bulls can be completely happy with that. Nice strong impulse move up, just under a 50% retracement. Good uptrend for the solar bulls. XLV, nice strength again today, confirming that bull flag. However, we did not get much follow through over that pivot high set on January 11th. So we will need to see a pivot high break of today, tomorrow, or this week to confirm that daily strength. So the new pivot high that the bulls need to break is at 118.23, and the pivot low that they need to defend is at 115.83. But this bull flag looks to be confirming. XLF, so a little bit of oblong consolidation. Bulls still need to break this pivot high of 31.62, and we can count this low of 30.49 as our interim pivot that the bulls need to defend. So a little whipsaw action back and forth, not a whole lot of volatility in this sector, so we'll see if it can come back to life this week. And XBI, new pivot high that the bulls need to break. Well, actually not the new one. The one that was set on Friday of 155.83 is our new pivot high. Ultimately, the bulls need to defend this pivot low of 138.91, and we could call this pivot in here of 145.75 is an interim pivot low, more of an hourly level. But nonetheless, it is notable to watch and keep an eye out for. But inside bar form today, so look for the high of 155.06 or the low of 153.14 to break in either direction for short-term trend confirmation. We'll look at a couple stocks that I am currently watching. So info I have talked about a little bit on Twitter, actually a couple times on Twitter. Really love this setup. So we have this descending pattern. We could even call it a bull flag, though it's a little bit too developed to call a bull flag. It does have some similarity to Futu. You can see the big impulse move up, pull back here. Looking at this chart gives me a little anxiety as I do regret selling in the 60s, but that's just the way it goes. So info bouncing off a previous resistance now turns support. We had this triple pocket of resistance here, not a triple top, but a descending trend line that the bulls bought up right away. Nice green volume that we can see throughout. And good follow through. So any pullback, I would be looking for an entry here. Again, this is not financial advice, so please do your own research and take your own trades based off that strategy. Me personally, if I do see a daily pullback, I will be looking to buy that dip. in anticipation of a strong move up. But this stock from a technical perspective looks beautiful. Again, also bouncing off the golden pocket 618.66 extension level. So a lot of bull confluence in this name. And XPEV. So I noted on Twitter that I couldn't ignore this one anymore. When I did make that tweet, we had seen a strong impulse move, 2 days of pullback on declining volume. Bulls bought this dip right off the 20 EMA. Strong day today, as you can see, a volume node that eclipsed the last 3 days of trading. Gap up open that the bulls bought right away. So I'll be looking to add again into a position. I got a fill right in here, right around $48 for 1/3 size position. So tomorrow I'll be looking to get another third size position, and we see continuation up and above these pivot highs here. Then I will be looking to add into a full position. But this is a beautiful setup. Again, we see a strong impulse move, great bull volume throughout, descending pattern, breaks bullish, makes a higher low on the pullback, and strength on the dip buying opportunity. Right off this volume node, right off the 20 EMA, lots of technical confluence. And it also has fundamental confluence as well. They scored a $2 billion line of credit from 5 banks in China to obviously expand their business capabilities and product lines. And obviously, the EV sector is one that everyone is watching, very hot sector right now. So there's plenty of fundamental and technical confluence behind this trade, which makes these particular setups some of my favorite to take. So I hope you all enjoyed the video and learned something through it, as well as I hope you had a great day of trading, and I will talk to you tomorrow.